Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Behind the Group podcast. I am DJ Keo.
And I am Basil Barrington, and we are back with another classic film review. Would you consider
Mhm.
this a classic film?
Yeah, I think it's classic.
Yes, yeah, I think
It's
so
a
too.
it's a it's an idea movie. We'll talk
Right,
about that later, but like,
yeah,
it's an idea movie.
right,
George is like he's flexing his brain muscles in school. Like, yo, what can I
dude.
do?
We are talking about THX 1138. This is the,
hmm
the directorial debut of George Lucas. And
hmm
I mean, right now, and not right now, but I'm not even going to talk about the what IMDb gave it. But this was created and released in 1971. This film cost about $700,000, and even
Yeah.
today, based on what the film budget was, this is the
hmm
highest grossing film ever, based on what the film cost. It cost
Okay.
700,000. It grossed $140 million.
Boy, that's crazy. I didn't know that. I didn't know it made that
Wow!
much money.
Still today, it's the highest grossing film based on film budget. 140
Okay.
million. You know,
Okay,
like
with the ratio. Yeah.
right, like wow, dude, totally insane.
That's wild.
We've been chatting about this offline a lot, and we were like, we're really alluding to the fact that wow, this is what Star Wars need. George Lucas, right? It's like, what does Star Wars
Yeah.
need? Star Wars needs its originator, its creator,
Yeah. The
George
creator.
Lucas.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a sci-fi. This joint was extremely trippy. What do you think?
Yeah, it's the ideas and the concepts in this movie is crazy.
Yeah,
Like he has this guy's building robots that are the his tormentors and police. Like you're saying, like you're building your destructors or your captors
yeah,
for this dystopian universe. And it's interesting like how these guys have to take drugs and the drugs help them work better and faster and whatever, but it removes the humanity from you
yeah,
and makes you're just a worker bee basically. Uh yeah, it's a fascinating movie. And like if you're looking for plot and storyline, like it's there, but that's not really the point of the
that's
movie.
not the point of
The
the movie.
point of this
Yeah,
movie is ideas, like ideas for directing, ideas for future movies, ideas to just like what can I get away with? What will people watch? Like what's interesting to me? And that's one thing I like about George. Because like if you watch American Graffiti, you watch Star Wars, he does not care about what the people are watching.
right.
He's like, I like this.
Hmm.
And like as an artist, that's what you're supposed to be about. You're supposed to be like, I like this. This is interesting to me.
Yeah,
And then the people who like your stuff will gravitate towards you rather than you just trying to make a movie that you think, oh, some people are like this, because that's what's going on like in the theaters right now. Our movie like King Kong versus Godzilla is a movie that I think if I put this thing here and this thing here, people are gonna like that. Like that's not you need to make a movie off of your ideas and stuff that you care about
hmm,
and hope an audience will come there. That's the
yeah,
better way to make movies. That's the better way
yeah.
to make art.
Because this joint
This
came
movie
right off.
you know,
It came right off the dome, yo. This is something he wrote. He created the whole joint, the whole nine. And you make a
Mhm.
very good point because even George Lucas, he's like, you know what? I don't really want to deal with Hollywood. He built his studio away from Hollywood. You know,
Yeah, he's like, screw you
he's
guys. I
like,
don't
screw
need
you
you.
guys. I mean, a lot of
He's not in the Directors Guild either. He's
yeah.
like, screw Hollywood. I
I don't
don't need no
care.
part
He's
of
like, I
that.
don't care about this. I'm dealing with Disney. I'm dealing with everyone else. It's okay, right? So yeah, so it's kind
Yeah.
of weird because this is sometimes we watch like older classic films like from the 30s and the
Mhm.
40s, right? And
Yeah.
like this here, it was kind of interesting. I also have to say, those white suits that those people were wearing, I want one of those. I
Yeah,
want
that's
one of
kind of
those,
fire.
dude.
Like,
I want one
they're
of those
fire.
for the beach. I want one of those for real. I want one. I may have to get two. I may have to do a Mark Zuckerberg, like 100 of the same shirt and pants. But
Yeah,
this joint
yeah.
was pretty cool because you know you really have to think about like why are these people here? Because they're just basically
Mhm.
on drugs. They're given sedatives just to be able to work and perform their duties. But
Mhm. Yeah.
THX 1138, he was just like, well, wait a minute, I want to know how I feel without taking these drugs.
Here's the thing that you gotta remember. His roommate
Hmm.
is the one that got him off the drugs. She replaced his thing
Hmm.
because she wanted to get pregnant.
Yeah.
So you gotta be careful, man. Those bald chicks, you gotta be careful. I know it's stereotype, but like, you gotta be careful out
Yo,
there,
but what
right?
about what about your boy Sin now? Okay, so here's the thing, like Sin. So Sin was like, I want you to be my roommate, right? And I'm like, well, wait, is he on some, no, is that some like, what was that all about? Because he was really adamant about like, no, we're gonna have a great time if you become my roommate. That seems sort of like he was almost like he was trying to
Well,
pick him up.
I don't think that okay, because the way he was talking about was it LUH? That's the original. That's the girl
That's
roommate
the
that
girl
got
Lou
pregnant.
Law. What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Whatever her name is.
Mhm.
He was looking at her like this chick lives here with me, and I guess she pays bills or whatever. And we watch movies sometimes on TV, and that's it. Like I go to work, she go to work, and that's it. Then we just see each other on Tuesdays. That's the thing I got.
Mhm.
So I think the roommate thing is just having a companion to be like, hey, how was work? Work was okay. How was work? That's like that's all it's there for. You're not doing all the other stuff.
Oh boy was watching when he was watching TV, like some of the programming was really interesting. He was watching
Yeah,
this
you
one
saw that machine
program,
though, right?
right? He was watching a one program where the robot police officer was just beating the mess out of someone. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
really, dude? I mean, like, here's the other thing. When you
Mm.
look at like when they were trying to escape, him and a really big black guy,
Oh, when
right,
you're in
the
the
tall black
jail.
guy,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
when they it gel. I mean, did it look like a gel? There were no bars. It kind
Just
of
wide
like,
open.
that sort of
For the
white
mental
space.
state.
Yeah, that white sort of space. It's reminded me a little bit of like the Matrix when old boy went into the void and
Mhm.
the whole white space and
That's
he was speaking
trippy,
to.
man.
Yeah.
The idea of a room that's unlimited, it's just
Yeah,
open.
that's
Just keep
trippy.
walking. You
Yeah,
get
that's
lost in there.
trippy,
That's crazy.
spacey, the whole nine. The cool thing,
Yeah.
right, is so when they were escaping, they went through this one door and then they were like they went into the causeway, basically,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you
where all
saw
the
like a
people walking.
million people, right?
Mhm.
Dude, I don't know if it was a million people, but it was a lot. I mean, it was crowded.
It's
It
a
was
lot.
Grand Central, right? They
Yeah.
look like extras. That didn't look like a copy and paste. They all look
No,
like
they didn't have
extras.
copy and paste back
Right,
then. They had to put
exactly.
real people there.
So it looked like there was at least 1,000, 2,000 people there. Those were
Yeah.
extras. Those people got paid. And they also had to like get haircuts. All of them.
Here's the thing.
Hmm.
So I was reading up about this movie. Apparently, there was like some kind of mental institution or something like that where they had to shave people's heads,
Yeah.
and George used them. He asked, got permission to use them for the movie, and I guess they were like, "Sure, I'll do it. Like, whatever. I ain't got nothing to do on Tuesday." So it's like a bunch of crazy people, or it's just
But
like or drug addicts.
mhm,
I think it's drug addicts.
do you have
They
anything to do
use
on a
them.
Thursday though? I know Tuesdays are free.
Yeah,
What about
yeah.
Thursday? you know?
So to use the people from the institution, let's just say that
Wow. Hmm.
he used them to be on the scene, so there's hundreds of them to do this thing and make it look like thousands of them, and it
Wow.
looked crazy.
That was
Like
one.
this,
Mhm.
the concepts and the ideas, because like the thing about it is that you don't have a computer to copy and paste.
Yeah.
It's 1971. They ain't got no computers.
Exactly.
They have the giant computers with the punch cards. Like you put holes in the
Yeah.
card. That's the computers they had.
Yeah,
So
even when they were in the mainframe, they called them mainframes back then, not servers.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yo, I
Just
mean,
lights and some.
yeah, I was like, wow. Other interesting thing is this, right?
Mm,
This is a $700,000 budget movie, right?
mm.
And again, granted, it was in the '70s, late '60s, early '70s, right? But did you see the vehicles they had in this joint? Even though they were retrofitted, I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like, wow, look at the
Dude,
cars. The cars look like, Formula One cars.
yeah, they look like Le Mans cars or
Yeah,
something like that.
exactly.
But like
Yeah.
it the thing is the creativity from George's side to be like, I'm gonna create this world and I'm gonna use these hallways and alleyways in California and I'm gonna make this budget movie that looks like it's bigger than it really is
It really,
versus actual this is a college student who made a movie that looks better than Hollywood movies.
yep.
With they got it like $2-3 million budgets or whatever they're doing back then,
Hmm.
and he's doing this on he's with his college friends. Like that's
Yeah.
that's crazy. I respect the vision, and that's the one thing about George that over all these other directors is that this guy has vision, and he's willing to take chances and try and do stuff just for the sake of art, and
Yep.
I
That's
respect the
true.
most hell out of him
Hmm.
for that. That's why this is why Star Wars looks so crazy versus all the other movies. I remember the first time I saw Star Wars when it was like 19 like that's like 1980 something, and it came on HBO, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" I'm like, "This is the '80s, right?"
Yeah.
As a
Hmm.
kid, I'm looking at this like this movie came out in 1970 something. These
Yeah.
ships look real.
Yeah. I'm
This is
telling you,
insane
man.
to like. It blew. Like when I say that as a kid, and I watched Battlestar Galactica. I've seen a bunch of space movies and TV shows before, and then I saw Star Wars, and it was head and shoulders above everything, so
Everything.
far ahead
Hmm.
that it didn't look like it was fair. It looked like he came back from the future and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna make this movie real quick. I know how to do it, guys." Like, he had all the information from the future about how to make movies, like doing the blue screen, like just refilming things at different speeds to make it like doing all this extra stuff that people weren't doing before. Because like before, here's a model in front of a globe, and we're just gonna move around with string. There you go.
Yeah.
There's your movie right there.
I
This
know,
guy's like,
man.
we don't need to do that.
And the other interesting thing about this movie was, so when George Lucas, when he was coming up, he came
Hmm.
up with Spielberg, he came up with Robert
Yeah, all
Duvall,
those
he
guys,
came up with Francis Coppola, he came up, all of those people was almost like, a who's
the
who of like,
greats,
yeah. They all
the
came up
great.
together, dude. All of them
Yeah,
came up together. They were working together, right? So they
yeah,
all
they're
know
sharing
each other.
ideas.
Yeah,
Cause like that's
exactly.
a with Star Wars, he had all of those guys in a room
Yep.
sitting down talking to him about what could he do to make the movie better, what they didn't like, what they did like, whatever. Yeah, all of these guys won Oscars. They're great.
Yeah.
Like you pick at them as one of the best directors of all time is his best friends with giving them ideas for a movie. It's insane. Like you gotta look at it. Like one of my favorite things about George is the fact that he's a maverick and he's willing to do stuff people haven't even thought of yet. Like doing the Industrial Light and Magic. I mean, not sorry. The yeah, is it?
Oh, you mean his
It's Industrial Light and Magic that was his thing, right?
yeah, he sold it to Disney though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So like they created the
Hmm.
special effects
Yep.
ideas, which is
Yep.
the same thing he did for this movie.
Yeah.
These guys come with ideas about how to do like shoot the scene, how to make a spaceship go in space, how to make a car look like it's driving faster than it, like just basic stuff. Like you
Yeah.
look at the robots. The robots look uniform in this movie,
Yeah.
and it's in a way to make it so it's useful and cheap, but it looks interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that was George Forte when he did the Star Wars, American Graffiti with the car. Like, have you seen American Graffiti?
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
That was his
It's a
second
great
film,
movie.
and Star
Yeah,
Wars was
yeah,
his third film. Yeah. The
yeah.
you know what the thing about American Graffiti was, it was, I mean, they put that on the shelf for a minute, it was on the shelf for about a
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
And then because really didn't know about it, they were like, who is this for? Whatever. It's just like, dude, just release it. Let's see if we're gonna make money. They released it and it
Mhm.
made money. Um, when you watch THX 1138, again, like I said, you are watching George Lucas like at his finest. What I mean by that is, this is the
Mhm.
person that's going to take a concept, that's going to take an idea and
Mhm.
make it better. which is why when you look at all this other stuff that Star Wars is putting out that doesn't have George Lucas at the helm, it
Doesn't
looks
feel right,
totally
man.
different. It looks different. It feels different. It doesn't have the
Yeah.
same thing. It's not, it doesn't like, see what and I know we're talking about Star Wars, but we're actually reviewing THX
Really,
1138.
everything is in this. It's
Right.
all
Uh huh.
connected.
Yeah. So it's just like, so the thing about Star Wars is when you watch the movies, there's really nothing different. I mean, the only
Mhm.
the journey is different. You know, the mission is different. Let's just say that it's a different
Yeah.
mission. That's it.
Yeah, but I'm saying as far as the creativity about there's a little robot here, it's on the side, and this is what it does. Like
Yeah,
that's not there. That aspect of it isn't there in the
it's
current
done.
form of Star Wars.
Hmm.
And like people you say what you say about George and his writing styles, even though he did write Indiana Jones and those are phenomenal movies. But
Yeah.
like George he had attention to detail on the little things about the world,
Yep.
and it made the world make sense. Even if he didn't have Pulitzer Prize winning dialogue. The world looked like it made sense.
Hmm.
When you're watching Star Wars, you're like, okay, it makes sense that this robot's here, and it makes sense that this alien's here, and why they would talk like this and do this thing. It doesn't feel out of place. It
Hmm.
feels like it this is supposed to be here like this, and this is why it would be like that. I watch the movies. I don't feel that at all.
No,
It's just not there. That aspect of the attention to detail is just not there.
it's not there
It's just
anymore.
like I saw these other things in the other movies. Let's put them in this one too. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And like that's the creativity aspect is gone, and it annoys me. As far as THX, like THX is a dystopia movie, and this guy has an awakening. Like we've seen a bunch of movies like that,
Hmm.
so it's not like since when this movie came out, it was groundbreaking. But as of being in 2024, there's dime a dozen of movies like
Yeah.
that aspect, whatever,
Exactly.
copy
Hmm.
all this stuff like that. It's not that big a deal.
Hmm.
So like when you're watching this movie, you can't look at it from 2024. You gotta look at it from 1971.
One. Yes.
Like that's
Exactly.
the only way to watch this movie.
Exactly.
You cannot. Why don't they have a cell phone? Why don't they just
Right.
do like
It's just like
can't do
this.
that?
We had
You gotta
mainframes
look
back
at it
then. We
from
didn't have servers. We didn't have AI. We didn't have like
yeah,
the internet,
yeah.
all this shit. You know
You
what I'm
don't
saying?
you can't look at it like, well, why would the TV do that? Why isn't the remote? The
Right.
TV's plugged into the
Hmm.
wall. Like you can't think about it like that. You
Yeah.
gotta think about it from this guy is inventing things that weren't out then. And he's looking at concepts and ideas that people are like is the abstract ideas from school, right? And you
Hmm.
put it in a movie. And then that's a lot of stuff that it hasn't been done yet. That's the that's the important part because I know a lot of people are gonna go back and watch the movie like, oh, this movie sucks. Like it's not about that. It's about the idea of the movie.
In
It's about the vision and the
1971.
art in
Right.
1970,
Groundbreaking in
where
1971. Why do you think it made
groundbreaking.
$140 million? You know, because it was groundbreaking. You know,
Yeah,
let me ask you
like you
this
couldn't
here.
get Star Wars without this
No,
thing.
you couldn't,
Like you
right?
couldn't do any of these things.
And let me ask you this here. So
Mhm,
there are some similarities. And again, his came out first, you know, and then you have all these other ones I'm about to talk about. So
mhm,
it's kind of interesting that um all of this is happening underground. It's not on the
mhm.
surface. Life
Yeah, yeah.
life in society and you know just everything else is done underground. People do not go above
Mhm.
ground. Almost like Silo, almost like Fallout, right? What's going
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
surface, right? Is there like a nuclear fallout, whatever? So in the end, oh boy is just trying to get out. And I don't know if he's
Mhm.
ever been out. I don't even know how he learned how to
I
drive,
think
right?
people have
Right?
never seen the sunlight before. Like
Exactly.
you've been down their
So
whole lives.
so once he got out, that was the end
Mhm.
of the movie, right? And I'm just like, wow, this could he actually go back to that? You know, like this is how it ended. Let's go from here. Could George Lucas possibly make a sequel to THX 1138?
That would be fascinating. Where his head's at in that world right now.
Yeah,
That would be
right.
fascinating. I would
That-
watch it.
I
I
would
mean, I would
watch it
watch.
too. Right,
Like,
exactly.
it'd be interesting to see like what does he think about this world? Like, is it decayed? Did it survive? Are these guys still doing what they're doing now? Like, what's the world out like outside? Like, there's lots of questions to ask because like the movie doesn't like it's a personal tale about awakening, right? Like that's what the movie is.
Mhm.
And that SEN guy, he's manipulating the system to do things that he wants. Like
He's a
he seems
hacker.
more
Hmm.
aware. He seems like he's in the Matrix and he understands it's the Matrix,
Right.
whereas
Hmm.
everybody else is just living their life
Right.
because he's talking about I don't know computers. Like so, like that's an aspect of this movie of like who else knows what's going on. You got the overseer guys watching the monitor. Like what are they doing? Like you know what I'm saying? Like
watching
I got
watching
questions about
watching
that. I always have
THX and
questions, especially in
Lou
dystopian stuff.
LUH have sex. I'm like, wow, these guys are just watching, it's just like, and they were just doing experiments on him, like when he was in a white, infinity room, and it was just like,
Mm.
don't let it get
Yeah, they're
past
just playing with the
4.7,
the nervous systems, pressing buttons.
Oh my goodness, man. This is yo, you know what? This is it's not this film is not available anywhere. I mean, for free. You have to really go out and just pay for it from like, one of your
Mm,
streaming services. You can get it. But
mm.
it's kind of fascinating. It's only an hour and 30 minutes long.
It's trippy as hell.
It's
I'll put it
trippy as
like that.
hell, like
You're not prepared for what you're about to see because it's wild. Like over the talking in the background,
mhm,
like it's like it kind of I don't know. It makes you feel uneasy.
yeah.
Like listening to it, like there's like because it's basically everybody's watching you. There's nobody not watching you, and everyone's doing
Everyone is
something.
watching you, period. For real.
Yeah, yeah.
Audio and video. They can hear you, they can see you, if you're having
Mhm.
sex. She knew, like Lou or Law, whatever her name is, she knew that they were watching her and him have sex. She knew
Yeah,
it.
yeah. He's like, we're in
Mhm.
the corner. They can't see us in the corner. No, yeah,
Right.
they can see you in the
Like they can
corner.
see everything, man. It's again, it's almost like Silo, where they were watching through the mirrors in their apartments, remember?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
The same
Well, say
thing.
it like I wouldn't say he came up with the idea first, but like he came up with a lot of ideas because I don't know when 1984 came out, like the movie. So, but like he's taking aspects of a lot of these little books that well-known books like Brave New World.
Mhm.
I forgot the
Anything
other
that
movie.
Isaac Asimov has done, I mean, he's a big reader of
Yeah,
his.
like
Mhm.
there's a lot of dystopian things are
Right.
in a lot of these like treasure books that
Mhm.
people they all came to love and read about, and he kind of put it in a student film,
Yeah.
and like it is trippy as hell. Like that's all you can say. It is trippy as hell, and there's a lot of really interesting ideas that you can see. Like a lot of people watch this movie, right? And you know, there's a lot of current directors that watch this movie and just taking little bits from it and
Yep.
put it
Mhm.
into their movies.
Yep.
What's
He's
that?
all
What's that Christian Bale movie about the drugs? That it's like a dystopian thing where he's
oh, listen. He's okay. That's
hold
that's
on,
one
I
of
gotta
my
look this up,
that's
man.
one of my
It's
favorite
gonna bother me.
actors. He also, like George Lucas, he was also a huge Buck Rogers fan, right? So he got a lot
Yeah,
of stuff
he
from
loves the
Buck Rogers.
serials. Equilibrium.
Oh
That's the
yes, it
movie.
had the black guy in it, Equilibrium.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This like
Yeah,
a
Joe,
dystopian drug
that
thing.
joint was
Same thing.
ill. That was ill, man.
Yeah. That
For real. But
was a
it
great
also
movie.
had
It
it
was good.
also had the fighting and the moves like a Matrix, didn't it?
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. See, a lot of these guys are
Ty
watching each
Diggs. His
other's
name Ty
movies and
Diggs, right?
copying.
Ty Diggs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or
That's
Tay
it.
Diggs. Yeah. So he was
Tay
in it.
Diggs. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that was a man, Equilibrium. That was pretty dope, man. That was a pretty dope movie. But we are
Well, like
talking
it's the
about
same concept.
it's
It's
the
literally the
same
same
concept.
concept.
Exactly. It is. They just had that's right, because they it
They
is
have to
this
take this drug
now I'm
because it
thinking
reduces
about it.
their.
It's exactly the same concept, although people had freedom, but
Mhm.
everyone had to take a medicine. And he was
Yeah,
trying
yeah,
not to take his medicine.
yeah.
Yeah,
And he
okay,
had
right.
his wife got off it first too. Like there's a
Right.
bunch of copying from it.
he
This
was
didn't have
reading
kids.
he was reading books. He was like, what are you doing with the book? Remember that? He was like,
Yeah, you're supposed
books
to
were
burn it.
banned,
You're supposed to get rid of all the
exactly.
books. Get rid
Yeah.
of emotion. That's basically what this world is.
It really is, man. This was a like I said, very interesting, very trippy, very sort of
Mm,
spacey sort of sci-fi film. We are talking about THX 1138. This is the directorial debut of George Lucas. What are you rating this
mm.
film?
I give it an 8. And like I've seen it a couple times before, but this is the first time I've seen it recently.
Hmm.
And it it's a concept movie. So when you're watching it, you got to remember it's a kind of like these are ideas from a student.
Hmm.
And so like stuff's not gonna work as well you want it to be or fit into, but like it's about the art. And it's trippy as hell. And I love the ideas they put down on this thing. And I where this thing took him, I love that like more than anything else. So it's a wild movie. And some people are gonna like it, some people are gonna hate it, because I know that the IMDb has a weird rating for it, and I think a lot of people are like, "Oh, this guy made Star Wars. What else did he make? I don't like this."
Right.
Like you're going in the wrong order.
Hmm.
You got to start with this and go this other way,
Yeah.
and go to the yeah, like you got to go the other way. But it's interesting. It's a wild movie and it's interesting.
Hmm.
That's all I'm gonna say. Right?
Yeah.
A lot of concepts that are in a lot of your favorite movies and shows right now came from this movie,
Exactly.
as well as your sound system.
Yeah. I am also going to give it an 8 because it's a really interesting movie. It's only an hour and 30 minutes long, hour and 28 minutes long. Um, what they did with $700,000 in the like late 60s,
It's
early
crazy.
70s is
Yeah, it's
crazy. And
crazy.
that was a lot of money in the 70s. I mean,
Yeah,
that
it's a
that could
lot
be
of money
conceivably worth in today's money like $3 or $4 million, if not more. You know what I'm saying?
to give to a student director.
Right,
It hasn't made
exactly.
anything
You
before.
know, and I was like, wow, okay, this is pretty interesting. I don't,
Mm.
again, IMDb, I wouldn't even look at the rating because it's such an old film. But
Yeah.
George Lucas, I mean, he put a lot of people on a map with this joint, like Robert Duvall. You know, and
Mhm.
and again, if you look at some of the elements in this film, the cars, the motorcycles, the tram, when obviously this is L.A. or something like that, I
Mhm.
mean, dude, he grayscale those joints to the point where it
It,
actually looks like,
it looks
it's
futuristic. Like it doesn't feel
exactly
like I know what train that is. Like this
right.
this is San Francisco
Exactly.
train. Like no.
And he didn't buy a train. He took what was there and he like flipped it out, made it look,
Yeah.
sort of like
Well,
dystopian, like you said.
yeah, but that's the artistic part about a good
Yeah.
director. He can
Hmm.
take, oh, you just walking down the street. Let me look at it from this angle, and look, it's 1944 all of a sudden. Like,
Yeah.
saying? Like, you can flip it like that, and you could. That's the people got vision. They can do stuff like that, and
Yeah.
a lot of people today do not have vision.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where they graduated
I'm
from film school, but like they don't have vision.
I'm glad you brought that up because the other thing I was going to say is, as an artist myself, I enjoyed
Hmm.
watching his art because
Hmm.
it was just so different. It's almost like what's old boy's name? The guy from Jim Carrey. You know Jim Carrey, right?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
So Jim Carrey is a prolific painter, right? I
Hmm.
mean,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely fabulous, right?
Hmm.
And I just love looking at his stuff. I love looking at his art. That's what a
Hmm.
director is all about. This isn't J.J. Abrams. I don't, I'm not knocking him, but
He
someone
should
like,
knock him. He's a terrible director.
yeah, and it's just like, you know what? I want to see your art, George Lucas. I want to
Mhm.
see your art because your art I'm really interested in. So I really appreciate the fact that, what he painted was just absolutely out of this world, dystopian. This is 1971. Totally a
Mhm.
flawless. This film was pretty dope. He spent 700,000 on it, made $140 million. Come on. The both of us, Keo gave it an 8. I also gave it an 8. Again, go check out THX 1138. You can rent it on Amazon, Apple TV, any of the streaming
Mhm.
services you may use where you can purchase movies. Go check it out. Well, there you have it. Thanks for checking out another episode of the Behind the Groove podcast. I am Basil Barrington.
I am DJ Keo.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And until next time, peace.